Hey, this is Lucas and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about a pretty big story that everybody's talking about right now, and it is basically about the Alaskan snow crab die-off. And the story I'm looking at is from the Blaze, and it talks about Alaska snow crab season canceled for the first time ever. Officials perplexed by the mysterious disappearance of 1 billion crabs. So the article says that that on Monday, the Alaskan Department of Fish and Game canceled the entire 2022-23 snow crab season. The Alaskan Department of Fish and Game declared the stock is estimated to be below the ADF&G regulatory threshold for opening a fishery. Therefore, the Bering Sea, now keep that in mind, the Bering Sea snow crab will remain closed for the 2022-2023 season. Down here, we see that the Alaska Department of Fish and Game told the USA Today that there was a whopping 92% decrease in overall snow crab abundance from 2018 to 2021. Last year's snow crab harvest was 5.6 million pounds, the smallest in more than 40 years. An estimated 1 billion snow crabs have just mysteriously disappeared in 2 years, state officials told the CBS News. And down here we see that that this is going to have huge ramifications for the jobs there. Dr. Gribble Sr., a crab boat captain, Dean Gribble Sr., a crab boat captain who has fished for snow crab since the late 70s, told NBC News it's going to be life-changing, if not career-ending for people. And a lot of these guys with family and kids, there will be no option other than getting out. That's where the hammer is going to fall on the crew. So they're already telling us it's all over Twitter, and politicians are coming out, and now they're blaming this on climate change. Without no proof, there's no proof that climate change is destroying billions of snow crab. But what about Fukushima? Okay, so Fukushima in Japan happened 10 or 11 years ago, and they've been pouring tens of millions of gallons of radioactive and the active elements into the water for the last 10 or 12 years. But that plume, they talked about this a decade ago, that plume would make its way to our west coast and Alaska and stuff. And then I found this article, and it's from, from 2020. And it says the detection of Fukushima-derived radiocesium in the Bering Sea and Arctic Ocean. Now, where were the crab disappeared from? The Bering Sea. And here we see that radioactive water from Fukushima has found its way into the Bering Sea. Now, we could say that it's climate change, but there's no proof. But what we do know is that radioactive materials do kill animals and humans. And we see that this Fukushima water has now made its way into the Bering Sea. And I'm not sure why no one says, well, it could be climate change, but what about Fukushima? What's happened is, I think the scientists out there know that Fukushima is killing off a lot of life, but we've always heard the phrase, don't let a crisis go to waste. So there was a crisis in Fukushima. So what the elite are probably doing is hijacking that. And you see that millions of animals are dying, or billions of animals are dying from this radioactive material, and then they hijack it and they say that it's climate change. And climate change there's no specific thing about climate change. It's just this vague platitude of climate change. But we do know that a radioactive nuclear plant melted down and a lot of the material went into the ocean. So let's also take a look of what's been happening with our food supply over the last couple of years. You know, we've seen the news, and we've seen it on Twitter, of the hundreds and hundreds of food distribution centers that burning down all across the world. We've seen, I think there was a couple hundred of them, maybe 100, 200 of them. Do you remember this right here? This is where over just 2,000 cattle, just all at the same time, died because of a heat wave. So let's check this out. So there you see that it just what, a quarter of a mile of this truck driving, just cattle dead along the side of the road. Then we also saw this with the bird flu. Let's take a listen to this.
Outbreak of bird flu in 7 years is spreading now in 27 states. Farmers have destroyed nearly 27 million chickens and turkeys to limit the spread. That's had a dramatic impact on the price of eggs, now approaching $3 a dozen, close to triple the November price. And that will likely mean higher prices for processed foods, from cupcakes to salad dressing. Tonight, there was an arrest.
Okay, so you saw that all of our poultry, it's all being destroyed. And we've seen over here in the Europe, Dutch farmers protesting over emission cuts. So the elites have said, we've got to cut emissions because of climate change. So we're going to have to put this on the farmers, and the farmers can't do it. There's a paragraph down here that I saw that's pretty eye-opening. It says the Dutch government proposals for tackling nitrogen emissions indicate a radical cut in livestock. They estimate that 11,200 farms will have to close, and another 17,600 farmers will have to significantly reduce their livestock. So at a time when we're seeing thousands of cattle dying, billions of crabs dying, poultry having to be killed in the tens of millions, our governments are making farms close down. Now, you would think that if there's a food crisis, that the last thing you would do is shut down the farms that produce food for the world. Why would you do that? It seems to me that this would be a time, if they are seeing that there's animals dying all over the world for, quote, climate change, that they would keep these farms open. But that's not what's happening. What is happening is that your food sources are being attacked by the elite. And we'll see why in a second. So let's start with this. Those elite that run the World Economic Forum, they run the largest corporations, they're the ones who go to Davos every year. They no longer need you. This is why they refer to you as useless eaters, because soon AI, robots, blockchain, driverless cars and trucks, and drones will basically take your job, and there is no need to keep you happy or alive for that matter. And this will be the new world order built back after the Great Reset. At one time, when corporations needed people to work and help make them their billions, there was an interest in making sure that the workers stayed healthy and somewhat happy. Well, what is the need now to supply the world's population with clean, healthy food if they're no longer needed? Well, there is none. So what are we seeing right now? We're seeing people like Bill Gates buying up all the farmland all over America, and now he's supposedly the largest farmland owner in America. So at a time when all of these great calamities are happening to our food supply, these guys have been and are getting themselves in position to run your food supply. Because you've heard the saying, if you control the food, you can control the people. And here's a few other stories that you should really scare you about what they have planned for your food supply. Here's one right here. Check this out.
Listen for yourself.
You've heard of plant-based protein powder, but what if the next alternative was made out of plastic? There's new research that could make it a reality.
All right, Stacey Delcat talked to a scientist about the process that could help fight hunger and pollution.
Food shortages are worsening around the world, and the plastic pollution crisis continues to intensify. What if there was one solution to both of these problems? A Michigan scientist thinks there could be.
What we're trying to do is to use microbes to take plastic and other inedible plant material and turn that into something that's nutritious.
The idea is to turn components of plastic into protein and other nutrients like fats and sugars. If that sounds kind of gross to you, well,
I don't want to eat plastic either. What we're trying to do is to take that plastic and turn it into something completely different.
Steve Techman, an environmental microbiologist and an associate professor at Michigan Technological University, and his colleagues were just honored with a more than $1 million Future Insight Prize from a German company that will allow them to delve deeper into their research. Techman says their process works by using microbes to break down the plastic completely.
In the end, all we're left with are microbial cells. cells. And those cells are made up of a lot of the same things in the food that we eat: proteins, lipids, sugars, and vitamins.
Techman says the resulting cells, once dried out, are a powder resembling brown sugar. And he says the full conversion takes just about a day.
Which I think is pretty exciting, because plastics in the environment can take years to break down. And so the fact that we can break plastics down in a day is pretty cool, I think.
So they're going to take plastic trash that's rotting in the ocean, and they're going to take it and turn it into food. But you heard what the guy said. He's going to make it nutritious. You cannot make nutritious food from garbage. It's not possible. You know, we've already seen this stuff with the insects where they are telling you how nutritious cockroach milk is. But now they're going to tell you that plastic trash from the ocean can be turned in some kind of healthy, edible food. It's not possible. I don't care what they tell you. It's not possible to make healthy food from trash. And here is the same story from the same person who tweeted it, and it's basically the same thing. Scientists in the military want us to eat food made from plastic. DARPA-funded research seeks to tackle the climate crisis and global hunger by producing a protein powder from plastic and bacteria. Man, that sounds good. That's exactly what I want to get up and do. I want to take some of this powder made from garbage, stir it up in water, and drink it for my meal in the morning. And here's the next story, and this is about the 3D printed meat. I know that this has been around for a while, but I think a lot of people still have not seen it and don't understand what it is. Check out this little story here. I'll play a little bit of it.
Your steak could soon be 3D printed. That's if you live in Europe. Israeli company Redefine Meat has struck a partnership with importer Geraldi Meats to drive European distribution of its new meat steak cuts. The startup is hoping to establish its products as an alternative to conventionally produced meat. Redefine Meat operates large-scale meat printers at its Rehovot headquarters south of Tel Aviv, as well as in a new factory in the Netherlands. Manager of the company's 3D printers project, Yaron Eshel, explains how it works.
When I want to create my steak, I have a library.
Okay, that's enough of that. You see what they're doing there. They're telling you how they're doing all this for climate change, but the bottom line is that the reason why they're doing this is because it's cheap. It is just another way for corporations to cut their cost and make even more money. Trillions and trillions of dollars flow into these corporations every year, and it's just not enough. So you have to ask, are they just doing it because it's cheap, or are they doing it to make you sick? Think about something for a minute. If they can make money by selling you cheap, junky food and making you sick, imagine where they can make the money next. And that is from treating your illnesses, your autoimmune disorders, your cancers. They can treat that after the fact. So they're going to make money on both sides of this. Now let's talk about what actually can be done. People are going to have to start contacting their politicians, and we're going to have to stop this stuff before it spreads, because once your food supply is gone and these farms are gone and the livestock are gone, it's not coming back. If we don't stop this now, your food is not going to be here in the next 5 years, and you're going to be forced to eat this cancer-ridden food that they're going to sell you. Cricket powder, bacteria and plastic powder, synthetic meats. Our bodies aren't meant to process this stuff. It's like a lot of people who have trouble processing dairy or gluten. Your body is not made to process this synthetic trash. That's what's causing the huge explosion in autoimmune diseases. So make sure that you are out. You go to support local butchers, local farms. Make sure that you're getting hold of your politicians and telling them the importance of this. There is stuff that can be done. Vote, whether you believe the Republicans are responsible for this or the Democrats. And in my opinion, they're both as responsible for this as either party. They're both. Our whole government system seems to be based on greed and who can pay them the most in lobbying fees. And I don't want to rant too long. I want people to be aware and make sure they're doing something about this, because honestly, I don't want to be eating synthetic plastic bacteria powder in the next couple years. So Again, thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to share this story and how much it concerns me and how much it should concern you. If you don't care, like and subscribe and share the video, so I appreciate it. Until next time, take care.